Welcome back to another episode of I'll Tell You When You're Older. There's been crazy discourse happening online lately. I know that you're not super active on TikTok, but it's been a crazy week, I would say, for
Yeah.
women in general. And one of them I started telling you about, there was this discourse going on with a creator named Drew Afualo, and what it means to really be a woman. She was bringing trans women into the conversation. It was a whole discourse, right? Simultaneously, there's also been this crazy case going on that's been live streaming of Lindsay Clancy. And she was this mom, I think I briefly told you, who was accused of killing her 3 children because of postpartum and psychosis and all this different stuff. And now, honestly, the internet has all of a sudden shifted and turned towards her husband did it. And it's been this crazy discourse for women
Wow.
these days. Yeah, it's been a lot to handle on the internet right now.
This is why I don't do TikTok.
I know. I know. And it's hard for me to stay off, but it's also sometimes where I'm informed. Also, real quick, did you see Caroline Levitt quit?
Yes, I do.
Another win for women, if you ask me, because oh my God.
She's going to go be good for her.
Yes. Good for her.
As some would say, God bless her little heart.
I know. I just
I'm not going to upset to not see her.
she's just rude. She's rude to people. I don't even watch her anymore. She puts me in a mood. It's just good
I
riddance.
can't watch her. She's just, yeah. Like I always say, just be a kind human.
Right.
We can all have different views, different opinions. Just stay kind.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it's a low bar.
Just be kind, just be polite. But I guess that shifts into this conversation about what it means to be a woman. I was also having a very hard time answering this question. When we came up with this topic, I had a very hard time answering it and trying to come up with a correct, I put that in quotes, correct definition of it. And I don't think there is a correct definition of it. I mostly want to talk about what womanhood has meant maybe to each of us, how that definition has changed over the years or between generations, what we were taught we're supposed to be a woman, and maybe why this conversation has become so freaking complicated.
I'm down. That's a lot.
It is a lot to unpack, but I wanted to do it in a more brainstorming type of setting, because I have been seeing most of the discourse being online, people responding, everyone having their own think piece about what it actually means to be a woman. But I don't think that there is a one size fits all.
I don't think so either. And I think it's fascinating that that conversation sparks so much emotion.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot right there, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's our expectations of our own making, our inside thoughts, feelings, or what society has put on women, right? So there has to be a lot of stress from it.
Well, I'm always curious, when you hear being a woman, did you know what that meant for you? Did you have this meaning that popped into your head? Were you oh, it's the feminine side of me? Or were you it's the fact that I have a uterus and get my period?
I think it's a little bit of all of that.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, there wasn't as much talk as there is now, and you can correct me because you know the now, of that identity.
Yeah.
It's not like my mom ever sat there and said, "So how do you identify? What's your identity?"
I know.
It was like conversation.
I know.
I just was,
Yeah.
And I think probably, and I think my generation obviously was different than grandma's generation. I think my generation was the start of a generation that we kind of got some mixed messages about being a woman and women's roles and what made you a woman. Because that was kind of just the beginning of women starting to have careers and all of that. So it was a very mixed conversation.
Yeah. Was it mostly about what you did to be a woman, the things that we do, right? So I take care of the house and I have take care of my children and I am a mom. I am this, right? It's almost like the roles and the things that we do. that a lot of people have kind of been like, well, you're a woman. Like, obviously, this is very old school thinking, but you're a woman.
Yeah.
Be in the kitchen. You're a woman. You don't want a job. Just let me take care of you. You can stay home and take care of the kids. I think that's obviously a very old school mind of
Right.
thinking about that. But it sounds like the idea of womanhood was more surrounded by like the things that you do and not necessarily who you are and what you embody.
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah. Women were, and again, there were some exceptions to the rule, right? There's always exceptions to the rule. But for the most part, women seem to, whether they really wanted that in their heart or not, got their pride from taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, taking care of the husband, being the support for their husband's careers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are a lot of the successful men that I saw in my generation, looking at my parents, those men were successful because of the push of those women behind them.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that's changed, but certainly was back then.
But they never got the
And
credit for it either.
heck no, but they did all the right things to make their husband shine.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the image that grandma gave to me
Yeah.
about the role of a woman. However, again, it was very mixed messages. And I can largely speak for me because there was that piece of it, but also they sent me to a girls' school. You know, as I've said before, I went to an all-girls school literally from kindergarten.
Yeah.
So at school, we did do some things that were very, I guess, female based, for lack of a better word. You know, like when when I first went in kindergarten, when the headmaster, the principal we called headmaster in
Yeah.
high schools, when he would enter the room, your classroom, we had to get up and curtsy
What?
in our little uniforms. So we'd say, "Good morning, Mr. Reynolds."
Oh my God. Oh my God. I couldn't. How old were you? You were in
I was
preschool?
5. I was in kindergarten, but that continued pretty much throughout elementary school. I went to the same private girls' school from kindergarten to 12th grade. It did change over the years. It
Okay.
was interesting. Like some of that piece of it changed over the years from
Yeah.
67 to 79.
Hmm.
But we were taught it was like a finishing school for girls. We had the education, academic piece,
Yeah.
but we also learned piano. You know, kind of things that you would think were more, do you want to say feminine?
Putting it in quotes like feminine because then we get into whole like, that's
Yeah,
why I said this is so complicated. You get into like the whole gender roles and then we talk about this and we talk about that. But this is just the reality of the situation.
exactly. And there were things that I think for me it was more what I learned about being a woman was by watching my mom,
Yeah.
watching the other women, you know. I don't think it was something that was blatantly told to me.
No.
It's what I saw.
Yeah.
You know, she went to the hairdresser every week. She always had her beautiful makeup on. Clothes were really important to her, as for the other women.
Yeah.
They were part of women groups. Yeah. And I always knew that was not me. You wouldn't catch me in like the links or those women club.
Or like when we would watch Gilmore Girls, that reminds me of what is it, the Ladies of Liberty, like that whole club that Emily had, like Rory join and stuff.
Right. It was very different. So women had Chrissy wasn't learning those things, you
No.
know.
Yeah.
Well, they put him in a military school for a little while. He went to a boys' military school,
Uh-huh.
you know. So that was very gender kind of
Totally.
specific. He was at an all boys military school. I was at Westlake.
Right.
I got the academics, but again, those other things that
Yeah.
we had to do as well. You know, we did the maypole dance and we did some very woman-oriented activities, I
Right.
guess. Say that.
How people in 2026 would like even label that so far is to say it was the patriarchy creating these gender specific things. Men are tough. Men are
Yeah.
military school. You need to learn this. Women must be feminine and soft and learn how to decorate a tablescape and all these different types of things.
And yet it was what was kind of confusing about it, especially as we got older at Westlake, it was very women empowerment because we were the student body officers, we were the class presidents, and I wore uniforms, which I loved because I didn't go to school trying to look all cute for the guy sitting next to me. You
Yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
was there to learn and have fun with my friends.
Mm.
So in that experience, it was really empowering
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to an all-women school. And we had some kick-ass people graduate. Sally Ride, first female astronaut, Westlake. Yeah, we had a lot of powerful women who graduated from my high school.
Love that. When I even think about growing up, about what it meant to, like, be a woman, again, like, there was no, like, conversation, even in, like, health class that I had, they didn't talk about anything, they didn't talk about even a woman's cycle, they didn't even talk about, like, what the different phases of our period was like, and the things that we would be going through, like, some of the things I even wish we learned in our class about being a woman was, like, the things that do make us a woman, like, not to say that our periods make us women or
Well, we can carry life.
yeah,
I'm
that
sorry, that's
also.
kick-ass special. I'm sorry. The fact that we can grow another human being,
I know.
I think puts us pretty up at the top of the food chain.
I think that today
Just
they've
saying.
taken that specialness almost away from it and it made it so like not highlighting the fact that it is something so amazing and so cool and something to be celebrated because there is some discourse where like people say and this is not to put like that podcaster Drew on blast, but like things that she'll spew sometimes is like we as women are not deduced down to having a uterus and a period. And that's not what it means to necessarily be a woman. It could be misquoting her, but that is an overarching kind of like argument that a lot of people have been using. But if you ask me, that's a big part of being a woman.
Yeah, that doesn't define you as a woman,
No.
but I do think it is something to celebrate as well. But I think that's the important thing. And I would hope at this point, the discourse, as you guys call it, we didn't use that word my day, is more celebrating whatever a woman wants to be. I
Yeah.
mean, it goes back, doesn't that just go back to choice? Isn't that one of the biggest thing we're fighting for as women
Yes.
today, to have a choice? So we should have a choice to celebrate being a woman by celebrating our uteruses and being able
Yeah.
to give life.
Yeah.
We should have the choice, if that is not the right time, reason, whatever it is for us not to have that child.
Yeah.
We should have the choice to not let our female parts or children define us.
Yeah.
That's really, I think, being that's the most important thing. It's if other people are saying that shouldn't define us,
Right.
then what's the difference than what the men of
Right.
patriarchy of today are saying how we should define ourselves
Right.
by this trad wife stuff that's going around and all of that.
I know.
So no one should be defining us. If
No.
a woman wants to be celebrated and feel that her womanhood is part because she can reproduce, that she can
Right.
create life, you go, sister. If that's how you're identifying, right on. If
I
you're
agree.
identifying on other reasons to celebrate being a woman, celebrate it that way.
Right.
Why? It's almost like, again, we're trying to be put in a box by someone. Why
Exactly.
is someone always trying to put us women in a box or in their view what we should be or how we should be?
And I think it's also important to understand that like our view as a woman, I think changes and evolves. Um, Not only with where we live, who we surround ourselves with, the things that we've gone through and the things that we've experienced, the relationships we have had with men also. Like it's hard to leave men out of the conversation of being a woman 100% million completely because I think that it would be naive to say that, like, sure, maybe some of the patriarchal ideologies have formed us to define what it means to be a woman in a sense of maybe I do have to be a little bit tougher and a little bit harder to protect myself because I am scared to walk myself alone at night because of those things. Like,
Yeah,
it's come with being a woman. Does that mean it's a great part of
true.
being a woman? No, but that does have to do with men having a hand in how we as women do operate throughout the world. It's not like I'm trying to give my power away to them, but I've changed as a woman even from being in an abusive relationship and then getting into a healthy relationship.
Right.
I was two completely different women during that. And yes, a man was involved in that, but then it created a version of myself as a woman that I can be proud of and that I can own.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, we don't, none of the sexes, men, women, no one lives in a silo, right? Besides that show Silo.
It's a good season.
we respond to our environment and how we're
Yeah.
raised, right? And so, yes, you know, women also sadly have to live in some fear
Hmm.
because historically we have been, not by every man. So don't come at us like we're generalizing that all men are like this because they're not,
Nothing
obviously.
here is generalized. We're literally just like, it's all not, and not every point is going to land with you specifically. Remember, there's
Exactly.
millions of people out there.
Exactly. But, you know, for a long time throughout history, women were used by men either to get ahead. You know, you look at historical England and way back then, the countries,
Mhm.
women were used as pawns, you know, marry them off to this person, to that person to gain, you know, but they were property and
Right.
used as pawns,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
you know. So yes, I think maybe there's also part of being a woman that has that innate, and fear is too strong of a word,
Hmm.
but um
Maybe wall
kind
up
of
or armor.
yeah, or antenna constantly up for
Yeah.
danger,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? I mean, there's that famous saying, you know, when people ask, would you rather your daughter be alone in the woods with a man or a bear?
Yeah. Everyone says
And
bear.
people, even men, say bear.
I know. I know.
There's, there's a reason that I don't know if you want to call it a joke, has total truth to it.
It is. Because there is always that question of, and the reason, like, if I go back to Drew's podcast, which inspired me to want to talk about it, it's because the comment was made by her guests that said that trans women have a more beautiful understanding of womanhood because they're able to lean into their femininity and find that softness and dig deep in that part of themselves and embrace that part of themselves. And I think that part of womanhood is beautiful and it is amazing. Do I think that the word more beautiful needs to put in there? No. I think if you're only able to focus on those aspects of womanhood, that's a privilege. Like, that is a really big privilege because I think that you can still be loud and you can be masculine and you can be aggressive and you can be child free and you can be uninterested in beauty products and wearing dresses and pink and still be just as connected to like your woman.
Absolutely. I would agree to that because I think that, again, we have such a big spectrum of
Yeah.
what it means to be a woman.
Right.
You know, I sometimes I think some of the sexiest women are the ones who aren't that feminine.
I
You
know.
know, you know, like give me a woman who can get out there and ride a tractor and or
Well, because it's
but,
so many
but
different facets to it. And I think that what you said rings true that why are we trying to fit it into a specific box and or claim that someone's womanhood is more important than another woman's womanhood, right? And love the LGBTQ community, but I think that it would be so naive of us to think that like our experiences equate their experiences. Does that make ours easier? Theirs easier? No. One better? More better? No. I think that everyone's is different. Yours is different than my version too. So it's like
right.
take out the labels of a cis woman versus a trans woman. Like at the end of the day, like isn't that what we all want to be considered as a woman?
And I think you've hit on something that sadly has been such a an issue, for lack of a better word, for women throughout time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think we're our own worst enemies.
Right.
And if we would only unite
Hmm.
and respect and appreciate all our amazing differences,
Yeah.
you know, kind of like, you know, I maybe somewhat jokingly mentioned, but the trad wives now and that whole movement that's come
Right.
back
Yeah.
first, and they're against the women who want to work.
Right.
Why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? If
No.
you want to stay at home and be a trad wife, knock yourself out. There are moments I wouldn't mind just staying home and being totally pampered and taken care of and taking care of my man. Worked
No.
for the past 20 years. I get that. But you know what? There's also days that I love that I have a job, that I have built a career, that I supported my kids.
Yeah.
Why can't we all just be okay with what our choices are? I'm not hurting you. You're not hurting me.
Mm-mm.
Just let's respect each other's wants. And I think if all the women, the black women, the white women, Asian, Muslim, if all women came together trans women, lesbian, straight. I'm gonna like miss all the new names because I'm old. I don't get them all. I love you.
You're good. You're good.
But if we all just came together, whether it's because you identify a woman or you're biologically a woman or you become a woman, whatever,
Right.
how fucking powerful would we be?
That's the part I think, like,
Just come together, y'all.
I know it, but the division is so easy. There's so many different ways to divide us. And I think that it also starts with putting all these different labels on things, and that just divides us even more. And I keep going back to that podcast clip because I was more triggered by the response of the host and her reaction to women just disagreeing with her or even asking for clarity from her or being like, well, this was said, right? Like you mentioned that a cis woman is more than just her ability to get S aid. And like people were asking for clarity on that and they were being attacked for just asking for clarity. They were being called names for just asking for clarity or for saying, oh, that comment didn't really sit right with me. And then all of a sudden it's because someone disagrees. You're labeled as I didn't even know what the term turf meant. You're labeled as a turf, you're labeled as racist, you're labeled as this. It's just so much hate for just like having a difference of opinion, and that's what hurts my heart.
And isn't that unfortunately what's happening throughout every part of the world right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And throughout time. And again, I think that's what has divided us so much, not just women, but all of us within humanity,
Yeah, I
is
know.
that there's no room for other beliefs and other people's. And of course, if your belief is hurting someone,
Right.
that's a different story. That's
Of
not what I'm
course.
talking about.
No.
But everyone should be able to have their own belief and thoughts about something, as long as, again, you're still being kind. Let's just all be kind humans. I just don't understand. That may sound so naive,
No, it doesn't. But
but
I think
oh,
that it goes back to things having to be black or white, right? And I don't say that like color wise. I say like
right,
one way or another way. There's no room for a scale. There's no room for gray area to be a part of the conversation. It doesn't have to be like you disagree with my point, you're this, or like
right.
you're questioning the things that I say. Oh, you're racist. Like, okay, like let's find a little bit of a gray area here. We can all like coexist here. It doesn't have to be one way or no way at all.
And then wonder if that stems from fear. Maybe every group is so afraid of being put down or annihilated or
Not accepted.
not accepted. Which is sad because a lot of, I think, acting out and that, I think a lot of hatred comes from fear.
I think it does too. Well, it's whether it's fear of being rejected, being accepted, being seen, being not good enough, all of those different things that we've even talked about
Right.
um before, because it's not lost upon me that there is still going to be people who are sexist. There are still people who are racist. There are people who are turfs or whatever the case may be. But like that doesn't mean everybody is like that who just has
Right.
questions or maybe just kind of disagrees on a point. We don't have to be so hateful and label people.
And it is sad, I think, because in my lifetime, I feel like, my ripe old age of 65, I feel like there's been so many ups and downs. And I think right now it's getting worse again, which makes me really sad for even your generation and younger generations. I don't want to get into making this a whole political thing, but when people feel like their safety is on the line,
Yeah.
I think like in any animal, right? The claws come out. And I wonder if that's not what's happening in a lot of different groups, not only women, but everyone right now,
Yeah.
not only in our country, but in the world, people are feeling unsafe. They're feeling like, what's going to come next? Am I going to be deported? Can I not get my medication that I need as a trans person to
Mhm.
do my transition?
Mhm.
Will I be fired because of my sexuality? People are afraid. And
Yeah.
when people are afraid, they attack. It's natural. Animals, people, everyone. And I think it makes me sad as a woman, as a human, seeing that change over the past several years. because I feel like we were just kind of getting to a really cool spot.
I know. We
All being
were.
accepted. Women were finally getting respected for, you want to stay home, stay home.
I know.
But I
You want a
never do.
job? Have one. Yeah.
You don't want kids? Knock yourself out. Don't have kids. Not every woman has a bling desire to be a parent. That doesn't certainly doesn't define you, whether
No,
you have a child or not.
of course not. No.
Yeah.
It also comes from the talk. Like, think about when things got super hostile and super divisive. Like, it
Yeah.
comes from who is now in office, and the rhetoric has just gotten more aggressive and more hateful. And I do think you're right that it does stem from a lot of fear because a lot of us feel like we don't know what's coming next. We everything just feels so unpredictable right now. Not like life has ever been super predictable, but I don't know about you, but I have this like weird underlying feeling, and I've had it for a long time that something is coming. I don't know if it's a good thing and I don't know if it's a bad thing, but I feel like we're all operating on this like fight or flight response these days, and we feel so out of control with our ability to change what's happening above us in politics and the people that are in office creating this ripple effect that the only thing that we feel like we can control is like our tiny micro ecosystems, and sometimes that's like being really hateful to other people in order to protect ourselves instead of showing kindness and love to other people and acceptance, then we're kind of losing the plot.
We are exactly. It's a very tumultuous time, and I think it is bringing up a lot of feelings again for a lot of people. With what's my place in the world?
So it's like, what do we do? Like, how do you even move forward? Like, is it spending less time online? I've been really thinking like that's a huge factor of it is the internet. It's social media and just kind of like being inundated by all these different things. I honestly don't know how else to.
But
Maybe even by having these kind of conversations where it's safe to just open up.
not, but not knowing too. It's okay
Yeah,
not to know.
than what we love about being a woman because I don't think being a woman is actually that bad or that hard. Sure, it's like annoying sometimes and confusing. Like I told you earlier, I have no idea if like my boobs hurt because my hormones or I've convinced myself like I'm dying. Like majority of the time it is my hormones, right? But like I think that there could be also so many beautiful things about being a woman. Like I don't mind the femininity of it. I don't mind dressing cute and or doing my hair or doing my nails. I don't see anything wrong with people defining being a woman like that either. Or like by having huge female friend groups or our bodies that like we get to like, have different shapes to our bodies and or our sexuality. Like I think that there's a lot of beautiful parts of being a woman that we stop talking about because we're so focused on talking about the other shit.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I mean, I love being a woman. Um, and also, again, besides some of the things that you found shocking about my all-girls school experience of life, it was also the most liberating, amazing thing ever. If I
Yeah.
could have put you guys in an all-girls school, you and your sister, I would have. Because we ran the roost, again, we got to go to school and be completely ourselves.
Yeah.
I've said before here, those women I met in sixth grade are still my closest friends.
Yeah.
You build different kind of relationships. And again, we got to be the student body presidents. We got to be the head of the sports teams. We shined. And it was a really amazing experience for me going to an all-girls school because I thought I could do anything.
Mm.
When it came to applying to colleges, it was, our, I don't even know, summa cum laudes, all those. I wasn't any of that, so I forget what's even called.
Yeah.
But of course, it was all the women. And I didn't have to think about when I applied to colleges, they made me believe I could go and get in anywhere.
I mean, that's how it should
You know?
be. I think women are also a lot more intuitive too. But I think like when we're so focused on all of these like outside things that are happening, we lose our ability to connect to our own intuition, which I think is such a cool part about being a woman because I know women and I've worked with a lot of women at this point. Like we know when something's wrong, we know when something's up, we know when something's coming. But when we're so focused on like bringing other women down or bringing our own selves down, we lose our own connection to ourselves and like how powerful we truly are.
Right. Well, I mean, since the beginning of time, there's been the phrase women's intuition. I've never heard people say men's intuition.
It doesn't exist.
Right. And when you think about it, when every, that's so interesting because some of the things you were saying about how what you love about being a woman,
Yeah.
when you think about when so many women have a negative or a feeling about themselves, their bodies, comparing themselves to other women, think about where that all stems from. Patriarchy,
Yeah.
women's magazines, women's articles, TV. And for many, 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 many years, even if not still today, who was really running all that shit?
Men, even still to this day.
Yeah. So they're the ones who are saying, in the 60s, oh, you have to look like Twiggy, like
Hmm.
the body thing we had recently,
Right.
And
Yeah.
then, no, you have to look like a plus size or a
Yeah.
Kardashian. But
I know.
that.
Because
So
you
when
cannot
we've
win.
been upset, right, when we've been upset with ourselves and the things that we end up not loving about us as a woman, I feel like that's been so put upon us,
It is.
everyone else, to not love that about ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
which is really sad.
I know. Because if we all just quieted the noise a little bit in our minds, I like you said, I do think we could all be so powerful and I think that that scares them, so it's easier to pit us against each other.
Yes.
As
Yes.
opposed to having like women be fully in tune with who they are, whether they are choosing to pin trans women against cis women, or they're choosing to pin feminists against anti-feminists, whatever the case may fucking be. Like
Right.
there always is going to be someone pinning someone against someone else. And that's why I think the discourse triggered me so badly because, like, just because people are disagreeing, why are we consistently still pinning each other against one another? Like, this is just so unproductive.
Right, and it's so ingrained. Like, what killed me the most, okay, we've had two women run for president,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Hillary, Kamala.
Yeah.
I'm not getting into the politics if I think they would be the best candidates or not. Let's not even get into that piece of it.
No
But let
policies.
but let's get into how they were represented and picked on compared to the male candidates. They weren't being talked about their policies. They were talking about their hair, or they
Hmm.
were messy enough,
Or her
or
annoying laugh.
it's like, really? I've never heard you say to what about one male candidate that they had an annoying laugh.
It's because it doesn't matter. It
It's
doesn't matter.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, so I would have loved to, and then some women hopped on that bandwagon, and then women started putting them down, not for their policy, but for their personal whatever.
Hmm.
And that's what to me is so disappointing when women don't come together because it's mind boggling. I don't care if you don't have their policy, don't vote for them. Don't put them down because of their hair or their outfit.
Do you think
That's
it
just
stems
playing
from?
in.
Do you think it's?
That's playing into the patri. I think that's playing into the patriarchy.
I think so too. I also think it stems from like even jealousy, deep down, deep rooted jealousy, like of other women sometimes
But why are women jealous of other women? Where is that really coming from? That's coming from women not feeling good
within themselves.
and accepting themselves.
Yeah.
And that's put upon women
Hmm.
because we're not born not thinking we're enough.
I know.
We're enough from the minute we're born, right?
I know.
But little girls come out of the gate with people putting what they should be on them, buying them the frilly dress,
Mm-hmm.
know, telling them, "Oh, aren't you the cutest little thing?"
I
And then
know.
little boy saying, "When you're so big and strong."
Yes, that's so true. That's so
So
true.
it starts from day one,
I know.
what people put expectations on us women.
Did you know there's even like a pink tax? Like I've been like people will go and buy their kids clothes and stuff like that. And for parents to buy like their little boys' clothes, it's like $5.99. And then they go to the rack next to it and to buy little girls' clothes, it's like $7.99.
I wouldn't doubt it. I
Uh-huh.
wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, it's that just also is just like such a indication of how they've viewed women, but I think that it all comes back to our true power. And it's easier if we are all on this level instead of
Mhm.
actually like elevated to be happy and accepting and just like band together.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And because you see it all the time in movies Even still today, it's always like the women who have issues.
I
The
know.
guys are just like being knuckleheads and going out and partying together, but the women are into fighting
I
or
know. Or the
that,
woman is too emotional to be president.
right, like that Mean Girls movie back in the day.
Oh my God. That was
But
so
that's how it's so represented. And so sometimes it's hard to celebrate, going back to what we love about being a woman. Sometimes it's hard to celebrate that because our expectations are so up and down.
mm. It's
You
also
know, we
not easy, I don't know. There's not even been like a lot of studies on what it means to be even a woman biologically either. Like we're so like at the bottom of the totem pole, like when it comes to everything that we don't even have the right information to be able to set up ourselves for success majority of the time.
90% of the medical research is done on men.
Yeah.
And then they try to adapt it to a woman.
Exactly, and it doesn't work, it doesn't make sense, which is why so many women struggle with, like, productive stuff and PCOS and endometriosis and all of these different things, and that part is a struggle, and it does come with being a woman, but I just wonder, like, if it has to be such a struggle or if we've been, like, set up for it to constantly be a struggle.
No, that's a good question. If more people cared about women's health, it would be a whole different world and a different conversation. I
Mhm.
mean, that is one thing, I grew up with someone who really cared about women's health at least, so
Yeah.
we had that going for our family,
I know. But even,
which
like,
I think
small things that, like, they didn't even know did, like even, like, the way you do push-ups, we've all been taught to do them like this, but for a woman, if you slightly adjust your hands like this, it fits your body formation much better to fit your, like, breasts and your breastplate, and then it doesn't feel so fucking hard. Like,
well,
just
interesting,
going like this, it stops you, but that doesn't do that for
right.
men, but if you go like this for women, like, full range of motion.
Oh, so that's why I don't do good push-ups. There you go.
That's exactly why.
That's the reason. I could probably knock out 20 that way.
Yeah, duh. I also think that there was, like, a conversation about, like, trauma. Like, does trauma define womanhood a little bit? Like, kind of how I mentioned earlier that, like, my abusive relationship shaped me a little bit as to who the woman that I kind of am, and, like, maybe I'm not as soft and, I don't wanna say tolerating, but maybe I'm just, like, not as soft and or quiet as and passive as I used to be in relationships, and I now feel like I've built almost this, like, armor with all the stuff that I have gone through, so maybe it does make
Right.
me a little bit more masculine, right? Because people always talk about, like, leaning into your feminine energy versus your masculine energy, like, maybe the things I have experienced and the trauma I have gone through have made me a little bit more masculine and a little bit less feminine, and I'm okay with that. I don't think that makes me less of a woman.
Definitely don't think it would make you less of a woman. And I think that's true though for all of our experiences.
Mhm.
I think they can all change us in that sense. Um, there are times in our lives that, yeah, I think women are a little more, I don't know, is the harder is not the right word, but maybe the shell
Yeah,
or
you have a wall up. You're just
yeah, a
skeptical.
wall.
Yeah,
Yeah, like after because I think women do get, I'm not saying men don't, but
right.
I think when women are in it, they're in it,
Mhm, mhm.
and I think we give a lot of ourselves.
Yeah.
Some men do, but many don't because maybe if we ever had a male guest on this, they could give us that
Yeah.
male perspective. They're not taught to do that. You
No.
know, they're like, but
Well,
women,
it's a lot more to provide, right? So it goes back to
yeah,
even how we were raised. Like, if you ask a man, like, a lot of the stuff I even see in, like, the dating world, they really, really hyper fixate on the providing, and they talk a lot about, like, the money aspect, and, like, women will never accept a guy if he doesn't make enough money, and I think that
right.
that's just showing where their insecurities lie also within themselves because of how the patriarchy has made them feel like they have to be stronger, tougher, more this, and so they are unable to tap into their more softer and or emotional side, and not feel more comfortable being able to tap into that aspect of things.
Yeah, they worry about being able to provide,
Mhm.
whereas we're kind of taught, whether within the home or from outside environment, to be pretty to get the guy, to be thin
Yeah,
to get the guy, to be quiet,
be easy.
to be easy. Yeah, how many times, again, you don't hear men described as you're so difficult, but people tell women that all the time. Or you're
Exactly.
high maintenance.
I know. But I do think that there is this big shift that is happening in dating and or relationships. It also is so interesting that a lot of the men are wanting to be like, they call it like princess treatment these days. Uh, yeah, like where a lot of the men are kind of just like, oh, well, I want you to take care of me kind of a vibe. And they're more tapping into this very feminine side of things. And women are like, can you just fucking plan a date? Can you just fucking do something? Like, oh my God. But men want to be like the passenger
Interesting.
princess and this kind of a whole thing. So it's a very interesting discourse that's going on
Are you
right
seeing that
now.
with your clients?
The ones that are dating. Yeah. It's like the girls just want a man to like take initiative, take the lead, just make a plan, plan a date. And there's just such a lack of the initiative and the lack of confidence in themselves to do things, say what they mean.
Interesting.
I don't know. Maybe it is because women feel like we have to get
Just
harder
saying that.
and do so much, and we are on this like more masculine side of things. And so then like the balance is just kind of like weirdly
Right.
shifting right now because we're all just so all over.
And that's kind of too bad because I gotta tell you, I don't know if your generation would consider this old fashioned, but from a woman's perspective, I liked being taken care of at times when I was dating men and what I like being I'm sorry, I do like being pampered. I still like
Me
flowers
too.
being brought and sometimes not being in control.
I do too. Like I really do too, but you have to have a guy who's confident in themselves to be able to do those things. We all want everything from each other. I think like that's the problem. We all have these expectations that like women have to do this whole list of stuff, men have to do this whole list of stuff, and there's no give and take to be able to kind of like be fluid with how everyone's behaving in relationships and dating these days.
So do you see a change in that? Like when because this is your world, relationships. I mean, women, you're saying women still do sometimes want to be taken care of, like the old stereotype, or for lack of a better
Well,
word again.
not necessarily be taken care of, but like not have to be the one who's always making the plans, not have to be the one who's always bringing up, hey, I feel disconnected from you. Like, can we like reconnect? Or not being the one who's always gauging the emotional depth of what's going on in the relationship and or the disconnection and being the one to repair that and fix that. And women also fall a lot into the category of like, okay, is the house clean? Did you do this? Da 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 da. Just managing things because a lot of men just aren't taking the lead and doing things without being asked to do them. So then they struggle to just let themselves be taken care of because they don't trust that all of the other shit is going to be taken care of or that they can even relax because there's a lack of initiative and confidence on a men's side of things. I just think we've all simultaneously, whether you're man, woman, whatever the case may be, I think we've all kind of just lost the plot to just like live life and not just make everything so much harder on ourselves.
Yeah, and I wonder again. I know very little about it, but what you kind of like you read the sensationalism of it.
Hmm.
I wonder if people who like are in this traditional life world think they're going back to just something easier
I mean, it could be.
where roles are defined. I don't know because it is. I mean, life is hard. Life is complicated. Life is hard. Roles change. People change.
But, I think that coming full circle, regardless of what the case may be, I don't think that like we have to finish this episode by deciding what like being a woman is because I want to really, really hone in that everybody's experience as a woman is so unique and so different. And I think that
100%.
that's so special. And I think that's so cool that your own life, it's, what we see, what we consume, what we've lived, where like all these different things they create our own definition of what it means to be like a woman, honestly.
I agree. And just celebrating. Well, that kind of goes back to the whole world, but I don't care about excluding the men for the moment. Women, let's just celebrate women. And like an example of this that I just like totally experienced firsthand
Mm-hmm.
was when I went last month on my girlfriend trip to Sun Valley.
Yeah,
I was with four of my closest, again, high school, junior high friends.
right.
And I was sitting at the table and I looking around at the four of us, and we are all so different,
So different.
so different. Like not one of us you would say is a standard what you would think of a woman characteristics.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, my friend Leslie, I love her so much. She's Paige's godmother. She is as feminine and outfit to match every outfit, the right shoes, I mean, just like the pillar of beautiful femininity.
Right.
And we're all just so different. And I was just sitting there just saying, I love each and every one of these women for exactly how they are. We just love each other as women, appreciate our differences, celebrate our differences. And if we could do that and come together, we could take over the fucking world because we have that
Literally.
power within us. We just have to accept and love.
Moral of the story too is like not one version of being a woman is better than the other. It's just kind of like, and
No.
I also think that our womanhood flows and changes, and even for ourselves in our own life, like our definition of womanhood changes when we become a mother. Our definition of womanhood changes when we maybe start to explore our sexuality. Our definition of being a woman changes when, like I said, I've gone through some hard shit. Like, and then maybe once I've healed through some hard shit, I change as a woman. Like, you have to also allow yourself to change and ebb and flow and be okay with that.
100%. I mean, my definition of a woman right now is polar opposite than when I was 21.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, now
Yeah.
at 65 in this stage of my life, my definition of a woman had to change when I went through menopause.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of women, you're so excited when you get that period because now you're a woman,
Exactly. They've
you get
told
your
us.
period.
Yeah.
And then the years pass
Exactly.
and you change and then so what? So now I'm not a
Now
woman?
you're not a
Is it
woman. Now you've
still
gone
time?
through menopause. Yeah.
Exactly. So it changes over time. You know, when else a big time it changed was when men, when you go out, instead of looking at you, they start looking at your fucking daughters. But that's a big change. I've talked to other moms. That's a big change for women. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this next generation is coming up and I'm in a different place now.
I know. I know.
You know?
I know. But that's never going to make you feel like less of a woman, but maybe you have to kind of go inside yourself and redefine, okay, like this feels different. This feels a little bit weird. Like, what does that mean for
Yeah.
me?
The initial knee jerk is feeling less, to be
Yeah.
honest. But it is just women, we change so much over time, which is beautiful. Now I'm going into a whole different phase. I'm a grandmother,
I know.
and now my womanhood, I'm looking at it again differently. Like there's just so many versions of womanhood for
Hmm.
us to learn to love and embrace.
Yeah.
One's not better than the other. They're just all different with
Yeah.
new experiences. To really kind of treasure.
I think it's also part of being a woman is giving other women the freedom to do that. Giving other women the
Yeah.
freedom to explore what being a woman means to them and giving other women freedom to let themselves define what being a woman is. It's just like whether it's you have biological parts of being a woman or you define as a woman, whether
Right.
it doesn't freaking matter. If you want women in your world, then like you have to give other women the ability to kind of just like evolve and change and have open dialogue about just like not just what you think your definition of a
Exactly.
woman should be.
Right. And it is. And I didn't see the podcasts that you had mentioned, but you told me about it. But then there's also some, trans women like influencers.
Mhm.
What I do follow is Dylan Mulvaney.
Mulvaney. Yeah,
And I love her because she's finding her womanhood.
I know.
It's endearing. And she talks about the trials and tribulations that's been through. But it's almost kind of fun as a sometimes jaded woman
Mhm.
to see someone so excited
Yeah,
about all the wonderful things about being a woman, the clothes, the this, the that. So it's just so interesting how
right.
all the different
I know.
ways you can see it these days, you know?
And that doesn't mean like her experience was better than our experience. Her experience is different. And like
It's just
she
different.
exactly. It does that mean she's going to have the most easy experience because she's focusing on the beautiful parts? Are you kidding me? No, she also
Right.
experiences her own hardships and
Yeah.
tribulations and moments of hate and her own fears and her own bigotry that people have against her the
Yeah.
same exact way that like cis women do too. But it doesn't make one's experience harder than the other, it just makes it
100%.
different than the other.
And we cannot embrace everyone's experience,
Exactly.
which I think we've gotten away from too. I think, again, kind of like I was saying, as society and the pressures and
Yeah.
patriarchy, however you want to pronounce it, because one of my favorite books I ever read was The Red Tent.
Oh, I think I've heard of
And
it, but I've never read it.
it's amazing. It's about back in the day, this was back like I think almost in biblical times. I read it a long time ago. When women had their period,
Yeah.
they went into this one tent all together. And it was about the red tent to support each other, to be there for each other. Just like it was like the most of womanhood as you can get,
Yeah.
celebrating together this beautiful time when you are on your period and you don't want to be with men anyway.
Exactly.
And it just is a whole story about it. But talk about women empowerment that we used to do that for each other.
I know.
It's a really cool concept.
I know.
And I think that's what we got.
Or even have like villages where like you would have a whole community that would be there to help you take care of like your child and not feel like
Right.
you have to raise it all by yourself so that you can maybe still have an identity
Yes.
outside of just being a mother.
Yeah.
Because our, you know, we're not defined as a woman by our roles or whatever the case may be, but like sometimes it does contribute to our idea of a womanhood, the roles that we do have. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it does take a village. And I think, and then maybe that's why I love my all girls school so much, because we were almost this village
Yeah.
of women. Not that we
Yeah.
all got along, wasn't kumbaya the whole time.
No.
But, I think sometimes our society, we get so with all these arguments and disagreements and differences. Again, just come together as womanhood, unite, and let's all be a village.
I know. I think like it's so hard for sometimes people to do that though, because if they have a stance, they feel like they have to stand true in this conviction. Um, and everyone else around them is wrong and
Right.
and worse off then because maybe it makes you got some insecurities within yourself that you're freaking trying to navigate too that's being now projected onto all these other people. So I don't know.
Right. I know. It's a complicated one.
Yeah, but you know, like we're not like here to like solve the debate. And like I don't want anyone to take that perception. I think that it's healthy to have conversations like this without the animosity or like anger behind the conversations. We should be able to have more conversations that are just cool and open and like
Yeah.
introspective and those kinds of things. And the interesting part is realizing that like how difficult it actually is to define something that we've
Right.
experienced our entire lives because like we've experienced womanhood our whole life, but like I was really struggling, like I said, to define it. And maybe just like being a woman is too personal of an experience and it's too complicated and it's too varied. And for any one person to define what womanhood is for everybody else.
Exactly. No, I think that's really true because every woman's going to see it in her own way, which hopefully is, sadly can be sometimes painful, but hopefully at the bottom of it, it's really beautiful. And I think a takeaway I'd want people to even think about if we did like a takeaway is just to stop and think.
Mhm.
Everyone's coming from life in their different this, different that, different backgrounds. But at the heart of it, we all are amazing, beautiful women.
Mhm.
Maybe we all really want the same thing to be loved and accepted.
Mhm.
And again, just be kind.
Literally, just
Just
be
be
kind.
kind.
Just treat other people the way you want to be treated, guys.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh, well, if anybody has any comments, questions, concerns, of course, feel free to DM or reach out or comment on here. But like all of this is just coming from a place of like love and just really wanting people to stop fighting each other. We don't need to fight each other about this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
All right.
Well,
Thank you, everybody, and we'll see
thank
you next
you.
Friday.
Thank you as always, honey.